Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Albertin, and I work for the University of Florida Cooperative Extension Service. I am the Regional Water Resources Agent for the Florida Panhandle. And the project that we're working on here, I actually work with a large group of people. We're many on this project. That includes Dr. David Wright out of the North Florida Research and Education Center and his research team, which includes Dr. Sudeep Sidhu, Dr. Ted Stanley, Dr. Carla Ciabra, and Ms. Lydia Bolton. And so what are we trying to do? What are our major goals in conducting this research study? Really, we're looking to answer two main questions, and they have to do with inputs and leaching of nitrogen in the system. So one is we're comparing the sod-based rotation, which is a 4-year rotation, crop rotation system, where you have 2 years of a pasture grass, in this case it's Bahia, followed by a peanut season and then a cotton season. And we're comparing that to a traditional cropping method here in North Florida, which would be a 3-year rotation of 1 year of peanuts followed by 2 seasons of cotton. And what we're trying to get at is, questions we're looking to answer are, how do these two systems compare? So how does sod-based rotation compare to the traditional row cropping system in terms of nitrogen inputs and losses? Is the sod-based rotation system more effective at reducing leaching losses? So we're talking about nitrogen losses below the crop rooting zone to groundwater than the traditional cropping system. And do farmers use less nitrogen inputs in the sod-based rotation as compared to the traditional cropping, the 3-year cropping rotation? So I'd like to introduce one of the co-investigators of this project, our postdoctoral research associate, Dr. Sudeep Sidhu.
Hi, Andrea. Well, as Andrea was talking about the comparison between SBR summer crops versus conventional summer crops and why we are interested in looking at those differences, in the last 20 years or so, research that has been conducted on sod-based rotations, it has been seen that with the addition of Bahia grass or with the addition of Bahia plus cattle grazing, it not only improves the soil property of your field, but it also improves the root characteristics of your following summer crop. So it will be really interesting for us to see in the next 2 years when it will be peanut here in the conventional field and peanut over there in the background where Bahia grass is. So it would be comparing peanuts and peanuts in two systems. And in the 4th year, we'll be comparing the nutrient leachate in cotton in the conventional system and cotton in the SBR.
Okay, so what parameters are we collecting data on? So we collect leachate data from our drain gauge lysimeters. We pump water that's collected. So when we talk about leachate data, we're talking about water that flows, that escapes below the crop rooting zone. So anything that is not taken up by the crop itself, or that is not that doesn't evaporate on the soil surface, leaches below that crop rooting zone, and we capture it in drain gauge lysimeters.
We would like to explain what our setup is. So we have a data logger that is hooked up to several different instruments. So I will start with our drain gauge, which you can see on this side. So this is the Tigan tubing, which goes deep below where our drain gauge is sitting, and we use vacuum pumps to pump out the leachate. So the first red wire comes from our drain gauge sensor. The next white wire is hooked up to our rain gauge, and so we are also monitoring the amount of irrigation that's been applied, and it also measures if there is any rainfall. So we are actually amounting for all the water inputs on both the systems. And then you can see these 3 wires, 3 black wires. These are from soil moisture sensors that are buried about 5 feet from this PVC pole towards my right hand side. So for this system, we are collecting actual water input to the system. We are measuring soil moisture content at different depths, and we are quantifying the amount of water that's leached to our drain gauge.
We would really like to thank Mr. Larry Ford and his work crew, because we recognize that that they, whenever they come in and have to do something, that they really have to make a lot of adjustments so as not to damage our field equipment, and we recognize that this is completely in the way.